Thanks, Rory. I hadn't actually built that in. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for inviting me along. So I'm Marielle Bruce, and I suppose I'm the Education and Skills Lead at YouthLink Scotland. Gosh, I'm not quite sure how to follow James's input there, so I'd like to talk to you about gingerbread. Much of what James said and some of the comments that I've heard this morning about the lack of recognition of the value and role of youth work reminded me of when I was making gingerbread with my son last week. We went to the shop armed with the recipe that he'd picked out and got all the ingredients and even bought the fancy sugar whose name I can't pronounce. And then it got to baking powder on the list, and I thought, I don't really know what baking powder does, right? I'm pretty sure I've got bicarbonate of soda in the cupboard. They kind of look the same. I'm pretty sure they do the same thing, and it can't be that important because it's only a teaspoon that we need. Okay, the gingerbread men turned out okay with bicarbonate of soda rather than baking powder. But with figures like 16% of children liking school a lot, only 22% saying that they get what they need from education, and concerning school attendance rates across the country, we simply can't afford to not utilise all the ingredients that we know are essential to provide our children and young people with what they need. And that's why I agree with James that we need to rewrite the recipe. Scottish Education and Skills is at a pivotal point, one that could transform the learning experience for children and young people. An opportunity to truly get it right for every child, lift young people out of poverty and ensure that every learner knows that they matter, if we get the recipe right. Reform has given us a renewed shared vision for Scottish education that tells us what we're aiming to create: a safe, inclusive education system that values everyone and celebrates all kinds of success. This, it tells us, is how we will improve outcomes and experiences for learners achieving excellence and equity. It also tells us other key ingredients, including collaboration with all those working or connected to the education system, ensuring every single person in Scotland has equitable access to the learning opportunities that they need to thrive, changing culture to ensure parity of pathways, the self-esteem piece that James spoke about, and valuing the diverse achievements of every learner. It's also given us drivers of equality, opportunity, and community. I believe these ambitions can only be achieved by ensuring that youth work is included as an essential ingredient in our learning system. Reform reinforces the role of youth work in an interconnected education and skills landscape. The final report from the National Discussion cements youth work as part of Scottish education, acknowledging that learning takes place across various settings and approaches, including in the community and throughout your learning. It also specifically highlights the vital role of youth workers in supporting health and wellbeing, creating those safe learning spaces, facilitating youth voice, and being trusted adults. The need for access to youth workers was specifically mentioned as important. The national discussion also identified the crucial value of collaborative partnerships to deliver the vision for learners. The Scottish Attainment Challenge already recognises that youth work improves health and wellbeing, readiness to learn, and educational outcomes for children and young people impacted by poverty. As part of its approach to tackling child poverty through education, Scottish Government is building capacity for strengthened collaboration between schools and youth work through YouthLink Scotland's national programme. The independent review of qualification and assessments calls for a broader range of opportunities to be included in the curriculum offer, for there to be opportunities for personal pathways and project-based learning as an entitlement for all, across all education settings. As we've already established, this includes youth work. Professor Hayward told the National Youth Work Conference in November that those individually tailored approaches that we need to strengthen are where youth workers are already skilled in delivering. The ambitions to strengthen our post-school learning landscape also acknowledge the need for greater collaboration and coherence, to improve on how we support transitions and deliver the learning and experiential opportunities that enable young people to develop the knowledge, skills and experience to make a positive contribution to society, because I'm going to use James's definition. The Career Service Collaborative offers the wider system a model to strengthen collaboration and reach a shared understanding of roles across the system. In the context of careers, a clear national narrative and operating model facilitates and supports this local partnership and person-centred delivery. Youth work is embedded within the careers ecosystem and will continue to play a crucial role in further strengthening the quality and clarity of our careers offer in Scotland. But there is more to be done in the post-school space. Skills. Skills provides us with a common language across the system to create this coherent and connected experience for learners. Youth work provides meaningful and relevant opportunities to develop and articulate skills and achievements. Our sector's National Youth Work Outcomes and Skills Framework has been highlighted as an important part of a future system for understanding and recording a young person's progression. All these opportunities and areas for change identified by reform itself necessitate bringing youth work from the margins to the centre of our education system, because currently young people do not have equitable access to the learning and experiences that they need and have a right to as part of education. This is why YouthLink Scotland has responded to all aspects of lifelong learning and skills reform from a rights-based perspective, seeking the reforms to ensure that every child and young person can experience their right to an education which helps them to develop their personality, talents and abilities to their fullest potential. An equitable and rights-based learning system must include access to youth work. Young people taking part in youth work agree. It's been my job and absolute privilege this year to amplify the voice of young people taking part in youth work within education reform. As part of the national discussion, over 700 young people worked with their youth workers to respond. They spoke clearly about the transformative impact of youth work, how it helps them to engage in learning, develop skills and achieve. Young people said that the relationship with a youth worker was vital to their ability to feel safe, trusted and supported, respected and heard. They also spoke about the broad range of experiences, choices and pathways offered by youth work that meets their individual needs and aspirations. Young people expressed that youth work supports them to develop important life-relevant skills and to understand the relevance and application of skills to their learning and life now and in the future. This is seen as an essential element of what they need from education. Young people identified what needs to change across education and called for education reform to ensure that every young person can access youth work as a fundamental element of their education. Research evidence and impact data also demonstrate that it's the key principles of youth work and the ones that young people identified that support engagement and positive outcomes. The trust-based voluntary relationship between a youth worker and young people, the safe spaces that youth workers create, and the non-formal person-centred learning opportunities and experiences. Professor Hayward believes youth work is crucial to helping the system move forward and that all young people should have access to youth work. We've heard James Withers similarly acknowledge that the recipe needs to be rewritten to strengthen the role of youth work. This morning's MSPs have also lent their support. Weekly, I'm hearing head teachers and other senior leaders across formal education say they can't do this on their own. However, equitable access to the opportunities young people need won't simply happen and cannot be left to local decision-making alone. Reform must be driven by a stronger and clearer narrative that reinforces youth work as a fundamental element of our Scottish learning system. A human rights-based approach to Scottish education must go further than considering how we can make the vision a reality within the confines of what we currently do. The ambition to ensure that every learner feels they matter requires a fundamental shift in how we talk about and experience Scottish education. This needs strong leadership and a courageous approach from all those with an interest and a stake. The Cabinet Secretary for Education and Skills committed to improving the quality of teaching and learning to improve outcomes and experiences for learners. My suggestion would be we need to think about how we use language to communicate change or reinforce the existing narrative. What happens if we flip that around and make a commitment to improving the quality of learning and teaching? Youth work is part of Scottish education. A focus on improving the quality of learning and teaching must demonstrate parity by ensuring that all educators across every sector and setting are valued, supported and have the capacity to deliver. I really hope that the announcement of a review of community learning by the Minister for Higher Education, Further Education and Veterans on Tuesday will help to redress the priorities presented by the narrative of education reform and place youth work more firmly in the centre. Embedding youth work as an essential element of our learning offer will enshrine the importance of all learning, working collaboratively to recognise the diverse achievements of all learners and achieve excellence and equity in education. We simply cannot show every learner that they matter until we demonstrate that all learning matters. I believe, therefore, that clear leadership and narrative needs to uphold the right for every young person to have access to youth work as a key ingredient that cannot be left out of their learning recipe. Importantly, as we strive to deliver a human rights-based approach to education, collaboration is how we will show all young people that they matter. And this is why our response to the Education Bill consultation and ongoing engagement with education reform will continue to elevate the voice of our young people and advocate for a rights-based approach to education that includes access to youth work. I want to finish with a word that I'm hearing a lot of at the moment in the context of education: joy, or the lack of it, and its impact on engagement, attendance, and achievement, and what kind of learning offer is going to draw young people in. If we're looking for one thing that youth work is part of the solution, it's the joy young people feel about learning through youth work. Thanks.
Marielle, thank you.